Tonight, is this cold case getting colder, or is there still hope that a killer will be caught?
In a small town where everyone trusts their neighbors, a prominent couple is brutally murdered in their own home. Nothing about the case makes sense. The crime scene, the motive, and even the forensic evidence leave investigators baffled. Stabbing is a personal crime, often involving a relationship between the victim and the killer. The local police and FBI quickly discover this case is far from usual. Edna, New Hampshire, is a peaceful town where doors are left unlocked. But when a respected couple is found dead, the entire community is thrown into fear. On January 27, 2001, at 6:30 p.m., Carol Johnson visits the home of her friends, Suzanne and Half Zantop. She's expecting to have dinner with them, but what she finds is a scene of horror. The study is in disarray, and the Zantops are lying in a pool of blood. Hanover police arrive within minutes, finding the house in perfect order except for the study. The Zantops were preparing a meal, which indicates they died earlier in the afternoon. Detective Eric Bates describes the scene as the most horrific he's ever seen. With no signs of a struggle in other parts of the house, the investigators initially consider the possibility of a murder-suicide. However, the scene suggests a different story. Blood droplets in a bloody boot print are found near the fireplace, preserved carefully to avoid contamination. The Hanover police call in the New Hampshire State Police Major Crimes Unit. Sergeant Mark Mudgett, with extensive experience in handling such cases, joins the investigation. He believes the crime scene holds all the clues needed to solve the case. The bodies and evidence in the study point to a violent struggle and potentially two killers, indicated by two identical knife sheaths found near the bodies. The investigators discover the front door was unlocked, and there are no signs of forced entry, suggesting the killers were known to the Zantops. The brutality of the stabbings further implies a personal connection. Stabbing is an intimate crime, requiring close contact, often reflecting a personal vendetta. The forensic team enhances the bloody boot print with chemicals, hoping it will help identify the suspect. Meanwhile, investigators check local transportation hubs, fearing the killers might flee. One lead about a college student flying out due to a family emergency turns out to be unrelated. News of the double homicide spreads quickly. The Zantops were beloved professors at Dartmouth College, making this case high-profile. Autopsies reveal multiple stab wounds and slit throats, reinforcing the idea of a crime of passion. The knife sheaths, each containing fingerprints, are sent to the NCIS database, but no matches are found, indicating the killers might not have a criminal record. Investigators focus on the boot print, discovering it belongs to an upscale brand of hiking boots. They gather footwear evidence from everyone who entered the crime scene and eliminate all but the unidentified print. This clue, although promising, needs a suspect to be useful. The investigation expands to the college, where interviews with colleagues and students of the Zantops begin. The extensive connections of the victims create a vast pool of potential leads. During these interviews, a person of interest emerges, a student with a possible motive. If you want to stay updated on this case, hit the like button and subscribe for more true crime stories. As the investigation unfolds, a student is questioned. He had an argument with Half Zantop days before the murder. The student, known for his knife collection, becomes a person of interest. However, he has a solid alibi and couldn't have committed the crime. Investigators also look into a colleague who recently lost a position to Half Zantop. Bloodstains in his car turn out to be stew, not blood. Attention shifts to finding the murder weapons. Retail stores and manufacturers are contacted. The knives are specialized combat tools, not typical for civilians. 6 days after the killings, the knife manufacturer provides a list of authorized retailers. The task is enormous, tracking down 5,000 potential knives. The FBI joins the investigation to help. The case gains a national attention, putting pressure on the task force. A footprint, a fingerprint, and knife sheaths are the main clues. Yet, the evidence doesn't point to anyone known to the Zantops. Investigators suspect the killers may have been strangers. They consult FBI profilers who suggest the killers might be young, possibly committing the crime for thrill. On February 14th, a breakthrough occurs. An internet retailer reveals 2 knives were purchased by a 16-year-old, James Parker, living in Vermont. Parker claims he bought the knives for rock climbing but later sold them. Both Parker and his friend, 17-year-old Robert Tulloch, tell identical stories. Detectives sense something isn't right. The investigation intensifies as they dig deeper into the boys' backgrounds. The investigation takes a chilling turn as detectives uncover a sinister plan. Before their arrest, detectives notice a crucial detail: the suspect's footwear matches the prints found at the crime scene. This discovery sends shockwaves through the investigation team. Despite their suspicions, there's not enough evidence for an immediate arrest. The suspects, Robert Tulloch and James Parker, agree to cooperate and provide fingerprints and footwear samples. But as soon as they leave, they flee. Weeks of searching finally lead investigators to their homes in Chelsea, Vermont. But they're too late. Both boys have vanished, leaving behind worried families and a community in fear. At Tulloch's home, detectives make a startling find: combat knives hidden in his bedroom. The murder weapons are finally recovered, but the suspects are still at large. As the manhunt intensifies, a breakthrough comes when a sheriff in Indiana intercepts a call from a trucker offering the boys a ride. Moments later, they're in custody. But the story doesn't end there. Parker strikes a deal, agreeing to testify against Tulloch in exchange for a reduced sentence. During questioning, Parker reveals a chilling motive: the boys were bored and wanted money for a trip to Australia. When their initial plan failed, they turned to violence, targeting the Zantops at random. Their senseless act of violence shocks the community and investigators alike. Despite coming from seemingly ordinary backgrounds, their actions reveal a darker side. In 2002, Parker is convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 25 years. Tulloch receives a harsher sentence: life in prison without parole. As the case closes, it serves as a stark reminder of the dangers lurking in even the most unsuspecting places. The Zantops' lives were cut short by 2 teenagers driven by boredom and a desire for excitement. In the end, justice is served, but the scars left on the community will never fully heal.